Serious, why did you cheat on your so? Was it a one-off or have you cheated more than once? Definitely more than once. I'm really not good in relationships. It wasn't always that way. It's just that the first 2 women I was with cheated on me with a different friend, both of whom told me about it later. I found that I didn't hate them one bit. I didn't even really have hate for the women, just felt hurt. I guess I developed a mindset that if I couldn't trust women and they were likely to do it again in the future, I might as well not deprive myself. I grew rather cold and indifferent to the whole concept of monogamy. I thought once I got married that would all change. I mean before, we were just dating or whatever, but now, this is a real commitment. Then I found out after 4 years of marriage that my wife had cheated on me while I was in Iraq. Hell, it was with a girl that the 2 of us had a threesome with right before I left. I would have gladly given her my consent to have a relationship with that woman while I was gone, but it was the deceit that it for me. I found myself once again growing cold towards the thought of what she might be doing whenever we weren't together. I assumed she was probably cheating on me again, but since I would probably never find out, I just dismissed the thoughts as soon as they popped up. I had this smoking hot young coworker who would drift conversations to inappropriate topics, and she sent me a few sexy pics and texts. But I kept things rather professional with her. I didn't tell her what she was doing was unwelcome, but I also didn't encourage her behavior either. Then, one day, my wife made plans to go down to the Outer Banks with her friend for a Jeep rally. I Skyped her one evening as she was getting ready to go to sleep. She was in the bedroom of the hotel getting ready for bed as most women do, and she accidentally panned the phone a bit too far to the left, and I saw her friend already under the blankets with her tits hanging out on top of the blankets. I think my wife kinda knew, but I played it off as I didn't see anything. Told her I loved her and to have a good night. I then texted that hot young coworker and didn't regret it or really feel anything negative about the entire experience. Just great with someone new. At this point in my life I can only do open relationships, and I probably hold back a lot emotionally. It's not even that I don't trust women anymore, it's that I don't even care enough to begin trusting them. I just assume they're going to play around on the side. Answer. But he cheated on me first. I couldn't get over it and I wanted him to feel the same way. So I revenge cheated. I can't entirely say I regret it, nor am I proud of it. It's something that was wrong to do, that ultimately didn't have earned me any kind of closure or satisfaction. He also didn't seem to care much about it. Long distance relationship. I was not the most caring or appreciative partner. Went out with friends. Very aggressive girl came onto me. Went home with her. Felt awful afterwards. Confessed to everything even though I easily could have avoided being caught. Tried to salvage the relationship, but it just didn't work. Considering how terrible it made me feel and how much pain I caused someone else, I don't think I'd do it again. Why'd I do it? Basically, I guess a long-distance relationship gets lonely, particularly one with its own share of lingering problems. And when an opportunity presents itself, it can be very hard to turn down. I maintain a friendship with the ex now. She's married and lives in a different state. We've come to terms with our relationship's failings. The collapse of it really led me to a lot of soul-searching that changed the way I approached dealing with people. She's good people, and deserved better than the person I was at the time. We were together for 5 years. We had been friends for several years before dating. We lived together, bought a house together and had a daughter together. Prior to our daughter we had a very active life. After our daughter was born, we hardly ever had even after she got the okay from the doctor to resume activity. It was once, maybe twice a month, and only if she initiated. All of my advances were shut down, often met with rather extreme and aggressive responses on her part. I was frustrated and rejected. This went on for a couple years. She cheated on me. She was having cyber sessions on chat roulette and Skype. She would go to bed with me, wait for me to fall asleep, and then get out of bed and take her laptop to the living room and herself on cam for random internet strangers. When I found this out, I was devastated. She would rather jerk off for random dudes on the internet than her boyfriend in the next room. My self-esteem had never been lower. Eventually we reconciled, went to couples counseling and all that. I was holding on because I came from a broken family and I wanted better for my daughter. She didn't put any effort into fixing things pretty much from the start. Before long she quit counseling and stopped all the techniques and things we had learned. I should have left then, but I continued to hang on. We acted like everything was okay, but I know I was miserable. I started to mentally check out of the relationship. I'm sure she had mentally checked out a long time ago, but I held on for my daughter's sake. I thought it was what was best. There was no affection, no love. I don't know when or why I decided to do it, but one day I signed up for Tinder. I consider myself a little bit above average in the looks department. I got a few matches, had some decent conversations with a few girls. Although it was mostly surface and small talk, the attention felt great and my once shattered self-esteem was getting a much-needed boost even though it was all very innocent. And then I matched with her. She was the exact opposite of my GF in every aspect: looks, personality, interests. She was mixed race with dark curly hair and green eyes. Her body was insane. She was gorgeous. She was funny and interesting and loved all the same things as me. She asked to meet up for coffee and I agreed. We chatted for several hours. We had a connection. We had chemistry. We went on a few more dates until one day she invited me back to her place and f***ed me like I've never been f***ed before. The was insane. I was hooked. I would tell my GF various excuses to get out of the house and go f*** this other girl a couple times a week. I kept at it for several months. Eventually, I found out my GF cheated on me again, this time physically with a coworker. It was rather hypocritical of me, I know, but I broke up with her for good after I found out. As far as I know, she still doesn't know I cheated during our period of reconciliation, or at least she has never let on that she knows. I don't feel bad or guilty about doing it, either. It gave me a huge boost in my self-esteem, and I had by far the best of my life. If that makes me a person, then so be it. I don't even know honestly. Young, dumb, and drunk I guess. It was tough but I told her the next day. Things were rough for a while but we got through it. I don't drink without her now. I tend to be pretty calm and mild throughout the day but the moment I start drinking it turns into a shitstorm and I have no idea why. Dated all through high school and it was the summer after senior year. Things have been going downhill and I see her kiss someone at a beach party. It was the straw that broke the camel's back, so I walked back to my house and had sex with her best friend, and then proceeded to sleep with 4 other girls that summer before we broke up to go to college. I was falling out of love with her and in love with someone else. Luckily I did not go too far until I realized I was that and broke it off with my ex before I continued. Still in a relationship with the girl I cheated on my ex with after 6.5 years, so at least I know I made the right decision to move on. But the feeling of cheating on someone is awful and I wouldn't ever do it again. I was in a relationship where he loved me more than I loved him. I think I was just in it because it was habitual, comforting, and most of all, easy. I barely had to put in any work because whenever I needed him, he'll be there. It wasn't fair to him at all, but I honestly was just too comfortable and lazy to break up with him. Then I met someone. He made me laugh. He challenged me, and we had so many more things in common. Since we worked together and I was still in a relationship, I didn't really pick up on the fact that he had feelings for me. We would talk for hours each night about the most random things and it never felt forced. I later left that job because I realized that it wasn't what I wanted to do with my life. On my last day of work, he asked me to get celebration drinks. He didn't know I was in a relationship with someone else. He still don't. We grabbed dinner and just ran around town like a couple of idiots. And I felt what was missing in my relationship: spark. Later that night, he kissed me goodbye. I broke up with my then boyfriend the very next day because I told myself, I cannot and will not remain in that relationship with a loving guy who has done no wrong. But I later realized, what I had was an emotional affair. The second relationship did not last for more than 2 months. But I'm still grateful that it gave me the push to finally end the first relationship and set that wonderful guy free to someone who will love him back. I have never cheated on Ansa. However, in my most recent relationship, the affection she showed me gradually slowed to a trickle and then just Nothing. No matter how hard I tried. She would just start treating me less like a partner and more like an obligation. It got to the point where she'd reject me for constantly. I felt unloved, unappreciated, and just flat out One night I started talking to a random girl at a bar I escaped to for my thoughts. We hit it off. While I did not cheat on my so, I can say that holy was I tempted to, only to feel some sort of intimacy. It is true and not just a BS excuse some cheaters use. A one-way relationship where you don't get what you put in really can drive you to cheat, as it almost did to me.